And we're live.
Hey, I'm Matt Lowndes, live here at LTV. Today is Monday, June 27th, and I'm here with East Hampton Town Supervisor Peter Van Scoyoc for Ask the Supervisor. Peter, how was your weekend? It's been a while since we were able to chat.
Busy weekend, kind of overbooked really, but a lot of fun. Had a number of events to go to and local charitable events and also giving a farewell to our rector at St. Luke's Church. Father Dennis Berell is now, after 13 years, moved on. So they had an evensong on Saturday night, and his final service was Sunday morning, and the bishop came out, and it was a bittersweet occasion. We wish Father Berell all the best. He was really instrumental in, I think, getting the clericus of all the denominations of faith within our community together and into a much more cohesive and active group addressing issues within the town, and also, just opening dialogues with the other denominations. Rabbi Josh Franklin, the Jewish Center of the Hamptons, spoke at the evensong, and as well as former mayor and Mayor Larson, former Mayor Rickenback, myself, and Cantor Deborah Stein. Moving service, and we wish Father Dennis all the best in his retirement. Well deserved, over I think 44 years in the church. So
Yeah, I think I was Dennis's first or second confirmation class at St. Luke's. He was a great guy. Like you said, I think he did a really good job bringing the community together from all aspects of religions out here, whether it was for the Ukraine event or for Pride or for anything else. They all really worked well together, and you saw that, especially during the pandemic.
absolutely. The other event that I attended was the Eleanor Whitmore Early Childhood Development Center's fundraiser, and that's a local organization that's celebrating its 50th anniversary. It started out as a Head Start program in 1969, and has been an integral part of the community ever since, providing childcare for the gamut of working families and others as well. And that's such an important thing. It really can't be overstated, the importance of early childhood development. The emphasis that we put on that really saves us so much later on.
Oh yeah.
The social costs of not having children well educated and helping them develop their brains at an early age, really so important. And so that was a great event. There was a lot of community support. Of course, we urge everyone to look at your local not-for-profits like Eleanor Whitmore Early Childhood Development Center, and volunteer or contribute. It's really part of strengthening our community, and so important. Eleanor Whitmore, by the way, was there in person. She's 97 years old, and she addressed the attendees there. Pretty remarkable. She's been involved for, gosh, I think at least 40 of those 50 years. I think.
That's awesome.
Also, worth noting, we have some notable alumni from that center. Councilman David Lease was there probably 40 some years ago as a preschooler. And the other thing that's fun, I get invited to come to the moving up ceremony where the pre-K kids are graduating and they're moving on to kindergarten next year. And so the principal of the receiving school and the superintendent, like from Springs to Winter, was there. And it's just so fun to see the kids. They're so excited. They're so cute. And it reminded me of about 4 years ago, I was a guest reader at the center, and they'll have guests come in and read books. And I read, I think it was McGilligan's Pool by Dr. Seuss.
Awesome.
And the kids, it's so much fun. They're so into it. And so later on, late in the afternoon, we get a call here in the office asking if what was going on at the center. Apparently, guest reader became Justin Bieber, and the kids thought that Justin Bieber was reading to them, and they went home and told their parents that Justin Bieber read to us today.
And then they found out it was you.
So for about the next 3 weeks, everyone in the office is calling me Justin Bieber.
That's funny.
It's too funny.
That's funny. Well, we were fortunate enough to be able to have our show today. You just told me that originally you were supposed to attend a rally / protest for the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade late midday Friday. I want to say that happened. And really, today we got some other stuff we're talking about, not necessarily things about the town, but I think it's important to talk about this stuff as especially as you're the supervisor for East Hampton. Do you have any personal thoughts or some sort of statement you'd like to make on the overturning of Roe versus Wade, as we are in a state where it shouldn't have as big effect as other states?
Well, I think it's a terrible precedent that a Supreme Court will revisit what is essentially settled law.
Yeah.
And reverse it. It opens up the door for reversals and regression of so many of the advancements that we've had, over the last 50 or 60 years, whether it's interracial marriage, gay marriage, you name it. Those kind of things can just be overturned on a whim. And I think the other thing for me personally that's troubling about it is the several of the justices, when asked during confirmation hearings, basically stated this is settled law, and we don't think that that's something that will change, essentially. And so the crazy thing that came out of the Supreme Court was the gun issue, and
are you nervous about that at a local level? Is there anything that you maybe want to be a little proactive about prior to the major changes happening?
Well, I think the thing that's unsettling to me is, we certainly support our law enforcement, and it's going to make their job so much more dangerous. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I think we will live in a more dangerous world. I am really frustrated that there's been attention paid to, right to life. I can understand some people's religious beliefs or whatever, that they feel that, that's not the right thing to do, to have an abortion. But there's supposed to be separation of church and state in this country. And what I don't understand is, on the one hand, you have the far right Republicans pushing for right to life, but yet are basically unwilling to do anything about guns in this country. And we have mass shootings. We have children being killed far too often in school shootings. Mm-hmm. And they don't seem able to act on that. So the juxtaposition of those two things is concerning to me. It's troublesome, and I just think that I don't think that the majority views are being represented, and it's time for people to, really become more active in preserving their democracy. Democracy means being involved. It's a country of the people, by the people, for the people, and if the people aren't involved, then you don't have a democratic state. It's not a one and done. Democracy requires attention. You have to toil in the soil, if you will, and it's a little bit of a messy business, but there's no better form of government in my mind, and we can't reach our full potential as a country unless we exercise those rights and we protect the rights of others.
Yeah, and very quietly, there was also a big ruling on the Miranda law. For those of you at home, it's basically the Miranda law ensures the fact that you are told your rights before being as you're being arrested, and that you're told you're given the right to ask for a lawyer, etc. I don't know the specifics, but it was very quiet that they changed that very much so, and it went under the rug kind of because of the other two rulings, the gun control and Roe versus Wade. Um, uh, let's move on to more topics close to home, though. But I do thank you for giving your opinion on that. I think it's very important that people hear from you as you are the town supervisor. Um, since we haven't had the show in a while, I do want to touch on two events that we haven't been able to touch on yet. How was, let's start with the Pride Parade. How was that, the first Pride Parade in East Hampton? Yesterday and this weekend was kind of a energetic national pride in the bigger cities. It was the official Pride weekend, but there was a lot of energy post Friday's Supreme Court ruling. You saw a lot of support this weekend. But how was the Pride Parade when you were able to attend June 4th?
So June 4th was a beautiful day. The weather was spectacular,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of excitement. A lot of people turned out for the parade. There was thousands of people lining the streets and participating. There were dozens and dozens of people from all over different organizations in the community. As you know, the grand marshals were Bob Challoner from Southampton Stony Brook Hospital, and Catherine Sokas, who's got Canio's books and is also involved with Peer uh, organization. And so they led the parade. And at the end of the parade, people gathered in Herrick Park, and there were some speakers. The grand marshals spoke. We had I believe it's a young high school lady who spoke as well, and Tom House, who really organized it through his not-for-profit, and Mayor Jerry Larson was there as well, and some of us were talking about how next year they should paint a rainbow down Main Street. We paint a green stripe for the Montauk Parade, St. Patrick's Day, and so that might be fun to just spray paint a non-permanent rainbow on that day. And he's said, the mayor said that this will be an annual event, so we look forward to celebrating again. And I marched in the parade with my fellow board members as well, showing unity and support for all of those in our community. We want to be an inclusive community, and again, support people so they can reach their full potential of who they are.
Yeah, I was unfortunately not able to attend the event, but we had one of our interns there, and I obviously was able to see it all on the internet after the fact. But I was at Tom House's first event in Bridgehampton. It was after it was a rally against the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, even though that's not its official name. That's what it's known nationally, and it was great. I mean, just to see how kids are reacting to it, and how much different it was even when I was in high school, to see the reaction from the kids. A lot has changed over the last 5, 10 years, and I would consider the Hamptons to be a very inclusive place, a very safe place, if we're being completely honest. And I'm very glad to see it, and hope I'll make it there next year. Uh, Another event that you were able to attend was the Juneteenth event honoring the Tuskegee Airmen, and specifically, I think it was 100 years from Lee Hayes's birth.
Yes,
Yes,
100th anniversary of his birthday. Yeah.
which is incredible. And I remember Namagansett. He actually came to our school growing up, and he was a very nice man, and it's a great story. So tell me a little bit about that. I'm assuming you or another board member attended that.
Yes, it was very well attended. I think we had 350, 450 people who came. We lined up at the American Legion, where Lieutenant Lee Hayes was a member, and he would walk from what's known Hayesville on Town Lane to Legion pretty much every day and back. And so we gathered there with the family, which is a huge family, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of 13 siblings, and we marched with being led by the Tuskegee Airmen Motor Club. So we had 4 motorcycles, followed by the Color Guard, the United States Color Guard, members of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Color Guard, they have a club in their organization. I think it's one of the largest labor unions.
Oh, cool.
Have a club, a veterans club in their organization, of which some of the family members are members of the union. And so they came out, and followed by Lee's relatives and friends. And we walked to the Amagansett Youth Park, which had been renamed in October for Lee Hayes, Lieutenant Lee Hayes Youth Park. And we wanted to, with the family, celebrate both his 100th anniversary of his birthday, have a formal dedication, and celebrate Juneteenth. And we did that on Saturday, the 18th. And it was a great event. We had Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett from Virgin Islands was here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Who's a member of the friend of the family, longtime friend.
That's cool.
And we had a number of other speakers, Reverend Thompson from Calvary Baptist Church, myself, family members. We had Audrey Gaines also spoke, and Audrey was involved with the creation of the Amagansett Youth Park many years ago when it first came about. So it was very fitting that, as a family friend and one of the originators of the park, that she'd be there as well. She spoke very eloquently and movingly about Lee Hayes and the family. And then we unveiled a large boulder that has a very nice plaque of Lieutenant Lee Hayes in his bomber helmet and bomber jacket.
That's
in
awesome.
Bronze. And underneath of the caption is, "They said I couldn't fly, I did." And so I think
awesome.
That can be, an inspiration for any kids visiting the youth park, regardless of their background, to help them understand that, if you're told you can't do something, if you persevere, you can actually achieve. Could take a long time and some hard work, but it's the perseverance that makes the difference in the end. So that was a really fun day, and we had a little luncheon back at the Legion afterwards. And then the following day, from 2 to 4 in Herrick Park, there was another celebration of Juneteenth, sponsored by the village, and attended that. And there are, again, several guest speakers and whatnot, and some music.
Cool. I just wanted to give you the chance to talk about those events, as we haven't had a show in a while. There's really only 2 topics we're going to get to here, 1 or 2. But let's talk about something everyone should be very familiar with now, piping plovers. There were unfortunate piping plover deaths at the Maidstone Park after posts and fencing was taken out by someone. They do not know who it was yet. Under the Endangered Species Act, individuals who are caught doing this can be fined up to $5,000 and or a 5-year imprisonment. And under the Federal Migratory Bird Treaty Act, individuals can be fined up to $250,000 and may serve up to 2 years in prison. So this is not a laughing matter. This is a very serious issue. We all know that out here we take care of the piping plovers during their migration season. We have the fencing at many different locations. And honestly, I'm a little angry just because people should know better by now. It's been up my whole life for the most part, and I think everyone clearly knows you should not do that. With that being said, is there anything the town is attempting to do? I know that there's a lot of volunteers involved in the piping plover process, and that's how it was originally found that there were deaths. Is there anything the town can do to maybe ensure that this doesn't happen again moving forward?
Well, we do have trail cameras that we're deploying at testing sites to monitor as well. This is clearly an act of vandalism and and worse, really. You know, we maintain a stewardship program to protect these birds so that the federal government doesn't step in and close our beaches, because they certainly could do that. And we have an agreement with them whereby we ensure, maintain, you know, fencing and signage and whatnot to protect the nesting birds once we discover where they actually set up nests. And if we're not able to do that in compliance with federal law, then which has happened in some places, the federal government can come in and shut down the beach completely to the use of people and residents. And so we've, you know, tried to strike that balance between human activity and bird activity, and we've been very successful to date. This is a really troubling and unfortunate incident, and you know, we asked that if anybody knows who has done this, that you contact the police department and report it. And you know, we're going to increase, I think, our surveillance of this. You know, there are vast sections of beaches that are not closed or fenced off, and you know, there are plenty of opportunities for people to enjoy activities wherever. This particular area, you know, there's been some friction in the past between some groups who want to be able to drive on the beach, and in the plover fencing, I'd say the vast majority of people are very respectful and they understand what that's about, but there's always a few individuals who have to mess it up for everybody. So
I just have,
this is an area that doesn't allow beach driving.
yeah.
You get down to Folkestone, there's no beach driving to the west. You can't turn left when you get on that beach. And we've had problems with people driving down there, pulling down the fences, and the thing is, again, it's just a few individuals. Doesn't really represent the entirety of those who engage in those activities.
One follow-up question. If an individual sees an individual breaking it in person, who should they call? The police department
Oh,
directly?
police department, absolutely. And they'll refer to Marine Patrol more than likely, or they'll send a police vehicle there.
Yeah.
You know, try to get a description and a plate number if it involves a vehicle, obviously. And,
Awesome.
And report it.
One thing to go over quickly while we
before we move on, Matt, I just want to say that, you know, our program does rely to some degree on volunteer stewards, and there's a bit of training involved, and where it may be too late to train for this season. If you have any interest in becoming a plover steward, you can contact our Natural Resources Department. We'd be very happy to train you, and it's a pretty interesting activity, really, and gets you out on the beach, and you get to really see how these birds are pretty remarkable in their camouflage with their eggs, and so it takes a bit of a trained eye to be able to pick them out and locate those. So it's a great way to be out on the beach with binoculars and just checking out what's going on a regular basis. Perfect for anyone who might be retired or have some spare time on their hands.
Yeah, I was watching the presentation during the town board meeting, I think last week or maybe the week before, and I'll be honest, it felt like playing Where's Waldo when the pictures came up. I could not get those clovers. I couldn't see them. And I know they're very tiny, but man, you're right with the camouflaging. And that's
like trying to find a black ant walking around on your backdrop.
Well, and that's part of it is how they stay alive. They camouflage themselves.
Right.
But man, I couldn't see it. I only have one thing left here. We only have like 2 or 3 minutes, but I was a little confused trying to read up on it. Can you explain what the town board is currently deciding on as it pertains to the outdoor dining seating for restaurants, delis, takeout, and the addition of string lights, but also includes, at the suggestion of Jerry Samuelson, the rescission, I don't know how to say that word, of Chapter 200.
Yeah, we're going to rescind Chapter 200. That's our plan. And so what you're talking about is the outdoor dining. We prior to COVID, we had a pilot program in Montauk that would allow restaurants to put some outdoor seating out. Under the town code at that time, you could have up to 30% of your interior capacity placed outdoors. You can't exceed 100% of your capacity, but you could put 30% of it outdoors. When COVID came, through emergency declaration and executive order, I suspended zoning with regard to seating at restaurants, and they could put up to 100% of their seating outdoors for COVID. With a few caveats. They'd have to go through an administrative permitting process, which is pretty straightforward and quick to do. Fire marshal obviously would have to inspect to make sure there's proper safety egress and whatnot. There weren't any, any dangers for diners, and so that stayed in place until the executive order was rescinded and the emergency declaration was rescinded, and then we went back to what we had before. This all happened, middle of the spring, I guess, when those orders got rescinded. And there's a bit of confusion with some of the business owners about what the status was, and so we had a little trouble with communication, I would say, in terms of people understanding what was in place. And I believe the town attorneys, as well as the town board, had thought that there was a sunset provision in the Chapter 200, which was a pilot program for outdoor dining, and apparently that was still in effect. So there was confusion about that. And what we've decided to do is to change the regulations and basically codify what we had during COVID for restaurants. Up to 100% for most restaurants could be placed outdoors. In limited business overlay districts, 75%. And we don't, if it's in a residentially zoned district, then they don't have the ability to have that outdoor dining.
Okay.
In addition to that, what made it confusing is that there's nothing in the code really talking about the fact that you could have in delis and takeout businesses, you can have up to 16 seats indoors or outdoors, any combination. And that's under the Suffolk County Department of Health guidelines. If you go beyond that, that's their threshold, then you can only do that as a restaurant. And that obviously is a whole nother operation type of business. So there was discussion, some of the business owners, again, with takeout and whatnot, had placed outdoor seating. In some cases, it exceeded the 16 seats. In some cases, it's within town right-of-ways. There's no provision for that post-COVID. There was under the emergency orders. So we revisited that, and we're working through the process of, again, having an administrative permit for town right-of-ways, if appropriate. Some could be placed, some seating could be placed along town right-of-ways. We don't have authority over the state right-of-ways, so that's a process business owners would have to engage directly with the state. And so that's it in a nutshell. We're going to be meeting with the business owners out in Montauk on Wednesday at the firehouse in the Chamber of Commerce, just to sort of, go through what the town's, looking at and what we're trying to do, and just so everybody can get on the same page.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. I didn't really understand it, so it helps me understand.
As far as the string lighting goes, currently string lighting is not allowed in the code. And, I think the board members also feel that as long as it's compliant with our dark skies and lighting legislation, then you can have string lighting. And basically what the lighting code says is that you can't have bare bulbs that are visible across property lines. So if it's shielded, so that light trespass doesn't occur, then it would be compliant. So there are types of string lighting that are dark skies compliant, and those can be approved. And rather than being, prohibiting all string lighting.
Awesome.
The question about rope lighting also came up, and the same sort of outcome. If it's installed in a way that's compliant, then it's acceptable. If not, then it's prohibited.
Cool. I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of lights, the town lit up, so to speak. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for your time out of your day. And I hope you have a wonderful July 4th weekend. And I hope our viewers have a wonderful weekend as well.
Yes, stay safe, everybody, and have a good time. There are going to be some fireworks around, and looking forward to having a busy but safe and fun, holiday weekend coming up.
Yeah. And thank you to Jason in the control room. I hope everyone has a wonderful night.